Hey everyone, and welcome back. What if all those notes you've been collecting for months weren't actually useless? What if your sui don random notes, research files, ideas, articles, and half-finished thoughts could suddenly become a knowledge base that actually answers your questions? That's exactly what happens when you combine Claude Code with Obsidian. Instead of manually organizing every note, linking every idea, and trying to remember where you saved something 3 months ago, Claude can read the vault, connect related ideas, create structured pages, and turn that pile of forgotten information into something you can actually use. And the best part, you can ask a question and get an answer from your own knowledge base in seconds. So in this video, I'll show you how this setup works, why it's different from a normal note-taking app, and how you can turn your own Obsidian Vault into an AI-powered second brain. Let's get into it. The problem with most note-taking systems, most people don't have a problem with collecting information. They have a problem with finding it again. You save an article, you write a note, you download a research paper, you copy an interesting idea from a conversation. Then you move on. A few months later, you've got hundreds of notes sitting inside your vault, but you can't remember where anything is. And even worse, many of those notes aren't connected to each other. Obsidian already gives you the foundation for solving this because your notes are stored as plain markdown files and can be linked together. But there's still one big problem. Someone has to do the organizing. That's where Claude comes in. Turning the vault into a wiki, the system behind this setup is based on the idea of an LLM wiki. Instead of treating every note as an isolated document, Claude reads your sources, identifies important concepts, people, ideas, and relationships, and turns them into interconnected pages. You can start by setting up the Claude Obsidian system and opening the vault inside Obsidian. Then Claude can scaffold the structure for you. From there, you can feed it a source and tell it to ingest the information. Instead of simply dumping the entire document into one giant note, the system can break the material into multiple useful pages and connect those pages together. So one research paper might become a collection of concepts, people, questions, and related ideas, all connected through your knowledge graph. And that's where the system starts becoming much more interesting. The daily workflow. The workflow is surprisingly simple. You give Claude a source, it reads the source, it creates structured notes. Then it connects those notes to information already inside the vault. You can even give it a whole collection of sources and let multiple agents process them and cross-reference the information. And when you want to use your knowledge base, you simply ask a question. Claude can check the recent context cache, look through the index, find the relevant pages, and then drill down into the specific information it needs. So instead of searching through Forlovode files yourself, you ask your vault a question. That's the difference between a storage system and a knowledge system. The 6 commands. The system also gives you a handful of commands that cover most of the workflow. You can ingest a document. You can ingest a whole group of sources. You can ask questions about the knowledge base. You can save the current conversation as a permanent note. You can launch autonomous research. And you can run a cleanup process that looks for things like orphan notes, broken links, stale claims, and missing connections. That last part is particularly important because your knowledge base shouldn't just grow. It should get cleaner as it grows. Connecting Claude directly to Obsidian, there's another major upgrade. Instead of manually copying information between Claude and Obsidian, you can connect Claude directly to the vault using MCP. That gives Claude a way to read and write your Obsidian files directly. Now the workflow becomes much more natural. You find something useful. Claude processes it. The information goes into the vault. Related pages get connected, and the knowledge base continues expanding without requiring you to manually organize every single file. This is where Obsidian stops feeling like a traditional note-taking application and starts feeling more like persistent memory for your AI. One brain for every project, and there's an even bigger idea here. You don't have to keep your knowledge base isolated from everything else you do. You can point different Claude Code projects toward the same Obsidian vault. Your coding projects can use it. Your research can use it. Your content workflow can use it. Your business projects can use it. Instead of building a separate context window for every project, they can all reference the same underlying knowledge base. Read the relevant information when you need it, and leave everything else alone. That means something you learned while researching one project can potentially become useful in another project months later. The second brain effect, and this is where the second brain idea starts making sense. On day one, you might have only a few pages. Then you add more sources, more research, more conversations, more ideas. The graph starts small, then it becomes a network. And eventually, you stop thinking, where did I save that? Instead, you start thinking, I wonder what my knowledge base knows about this. That's a completely different relationship with your notes. Your old information isn't just sitting there waiting for you to remember, it exists. It's becoming something you can actively query. And according to the workflow described in the original article, the system can eventually answer questions from the accumulated vault in roughly 2 seconds, with the relevant sources behind the answer. The important part, you still own the data. There's another reason this approach is interesting. Obsidian stores your notes as files on your own system. That means your knowledge base isn't trapped inside a proprietary database. You can back it up, you can version it with Git, you can move it, and you can continue using the files even if you change AI providers later. The AI becomes the layer that works with your knowledge, not the place where your knowledge permanently lives. Outro, and that's the real idea behind Claude plus Obsidian. It's not about having another chatbot, and it's not about collecting even more notes. It's about taking information you've already collected and making it accessible, connected, and useful again. Your notes become the memory. Obsidian becomes the knowledge layer. Claude becomes the interface that can actually reason across it. And the more useful information you add, the more valuable the system can become. So if you have hundreds of forgotten notes sitting in an Obsidian vault right now, maybe you don't need another note-taking app. Maybe you just need to give those notes a brain. If you enjoyed this breakdown, subscribe for more practical AI workflows, Claude Code tutorials, automation systems, and tools that turn AI from a chatbot into something you can actually build around. I'll see you in the next one.